In this video, I'm going to show you how a shift register works. And to do that, I just need to add an input here and an input here. And these are the outputs of the shift register. Now, they're labelled I0, I1, I2, I3. They should actually be labelled output 1, output 2, output 3, but nevertheless, don't worry about that. These are the outputs, and across on the left here are the inputs, and there are two places where you can input a signal. This is where you put the information, the data, the ones and zeros. Okay, this is the bit you turn on, and this is the pattern that you feed in. So let's say you want to feed in the pattern 1, 1, 0. No, let's say better than that. Let's say you want to feed in the pattern 1, 0, 1, 1. So you want to store this pattern 1, 0, 1, 1 inside the shift register. Okay, so how do you store that inside? Well, you've got 4 digits here that you want to store inside. Okay, this, 4 digits that you need to store, but you've only got one place to put them in, which is here. So you're going to have to feed them in one after the other. So the first one we feed in is this one. Okay, the right hand side. So I'm going to feed that in by turning this on. Okay, that's on because our first digit here is a 1. Right, so this is the one here that we are feeding in at the minute. And we've set this to 1. And now we have to store it. And we store it by turning this input on and off. This is the store input. Now, it's called the clock input, but really it does the job of telling the shift register here to store that piece of information. So let's see how it does that job. Okay, I've put a 1 here. And now I'm going to click the clock input, which is store, on, off. And there you can see that 1. Whoops, let me delete that. There you can see that that 1 has been stored there. Okay. So the first number that we wanted to store, this here, this value here, has now been stored. This has been moved across and stuffed into there. Right? Now, the next number that we want to store is the 0. Okay, we want to store this next. So if the next one's a 0, we'd best go over here, set it to 0, and then click the store button, on, off. And here you can see the 0 has been stored. It's grey, meaning off, and this one is green, meaning on. Now, why is this one green? Because the one that was sitting here has been shifted across to make room for the 0. Okay, the first time we put in the 1, it was sitting in this location. Then it was moved across to here to make room so that we could put our 0 in here, so that the shift register had room to store the 0 in there. This is why it's called a shift register, because it shifts the numbers across, the values across, the 1s and 0s. And register is just a fancy name for memory. Let's rub that out and we shall store the third value, which is a 1 here. I turn on 1 here because that's the data input, and then I go click, click, on, off, and there we have 1, 0, 1. And if I want to store the last one, which is this number, I can leave that at 1 because it's already at 1, and I can just click store again. Boom, boom. And now I am storing that number, but you'll notice it's backwards. Look, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. The only odd thing is that it stores the number backwards, if you like. So that's what a shift register does. It can store information, ones and zeros. You're feeding the ones and zeros in series because you do it one after the other and you only have a single input. It's only a single line here where you can input data, but it comes out of the shift register in parallel. Okay, they come out side by side. And that's why this is called a serial in parallel out SIPO shift register.